Well, I thought we had the Lincoln air suspension figured out, but we went up and picked up some furniture up around Mount Rose Parkway, and it's heavy furniture. You know, it's a workout getting it on the trailer, but you can see the rear air suspension went down on its bump stops. The front still kept its air, but the rear went to bump stops. So I'm guessing the extra weight in there just overdid it, and the pump was working. Didn't get any error codes, but we could feel it was running on bump stops. We let it run for a little bit. We pulled off on the side at a little parking area, double checked it, and then I decided to flip the pump off just to make sure I don't burn it up, because it's my new pump. So don't know what's wrong with the rear. We can hear air leaking, but obviously it's so low and it's pretty nasty weather out. Couldn't get under there and check, but we're gonna get this unloaded. All right, I'm on the passenger side rear, doing this one first. I removed the wheel. See, the solenoid's up in there. So looks like similar setup. This might be even a little easier. Besides the fact I had to pull the wheel, he might have been able to get it from underneath, but makes for hard recording. So, all right. So this is the one that came out of it. It's actually an R-knot solenoid, so it's probably installed when they did the airbags. Overall length is the same. Only difference is this got a little cap on the top. Let's see if I can position it. You can see the cap, and then this one's open. So I'm just going to look up in there and see if the cap got stuck up in there. But I think the leak was coming from the O-ring. It wasn't installed properly, and it was pinched. This is a son of a gun to get out too. You can see maybe the colder weather's causing more problems, but yeah, I don't have an O-ring that thick. Mine are all a little smaller thickness. So I'm gonna try to see if one of these will work. I'm gonna keep this as a spare because I don't think there's anything wrong with it since I already got it. And then I'm gonna pull the one off the other side. This is this side. Passenger rear was the side we kept hearing from. I'm gonna get a mirror and look up in there, make sure that cap isn't stuck up in there, and then we'll get it swapped off. This was definitely tough to get out. Like I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's the O-ring was the problem, which I don't know if I can order just the O-ring or not. We'll see. Hopefully I can get this where it'll hold air. Let me get up and look up in there, inspect it, and then I'll put it back together with the new solenoid and a temporary O-ring. Okay, so this is the O-ring off the driver's side rear, and this is the one on the passenger side. This is where we definitely heard the air leaking from. So you can see, definitely just wasn't put in there right, pinched. I'm gonna see if I can make one of mine work until I can get a new O-ring. I'll get it in there and see if she seals. So I didn't replace both sides have R-knot solenoids, so I'm guessing the solenoids were replaced with the airbags. They may have came as one piece. The other driver's side O-ring looked good, it was put in properly. This side was the pinched one. I got one as close as I could that I had on hand. We're gonna try it. I got the wheel on the other side. I'm gonna put a jack underneath the suspension here with the wheel on, and then turn it on, put the weight on of the car down on it a little bit, and then kick the air suspension on and see if we can pressurize the system and see if we get any leaks or hear anything. So that's what we're doing right now. I got it pumped up, pressurized, not hearing any leaks. Get the microphone up there. So I think that O-ring's gonna hold, but I do hear a leak up on the passenger front. Or it did, looks like it stopped. So I'm gonna put the wheel back on, torque down the axles or the wheels, roll it back a little bit so I can work on this passenger. I'm just gonna pull it off, make sure the O-ring's not damaged on it too. So, but this should get us by. I'm gonna try to order some of those O-rings. I think I'll just have some spares on hand too. But like I said, I put the original R0 solenoids back in. I don't hear the air leak that we had before. Only time will tell. We're gonna have to load it down with some weight, see if she'll hold. Okay, it's the next morning. After I repaired the air suspension on the Lincoln, the rear, do that O-ring issue. You can see driver's side still sitting properly. You come around to the rear passenger. Unfortunately, doesn't look like my O-ring's holding. It's pretty close to the bump stops. The front looks good. So, although my O-ring will be a temporary fix for till I get the new one in, I'm definitely gonna have to pull it down and put the new proper O-ring in there. So as soon as it shows up, I'll do that and get her fixed. Okay, so we finally got our new O-rings in. So we pulled out our solenoid. This is the temporary one I put in. It would bleed off overnight. We're gonna go ahead. We have a kit here that came with all the O-rings. So I think what we'll do is go ahead and replace the large one and the two little ones there. So we'll pull off these little ones just in case they got stretched out or pinched at some point. Well, the problems we have and just don't want to deal with it. So we got the old ones off. Now we're just going to clean up this surface real good. Make sure there's no debris that might pinch or damage the O-rings. Hopefully this fixes our air problem we've been having. Previous, I showed you that we pulled the old one out, or the original out, and the O-ring was damaged. It was pinched. It wasn't put in properly. So unfortunately I didn't have the exact one. Used a temporary one that was a little thinner, and it worked till we got this one in. So we'll see. Hopefully it's not a Ford part, but hopefully it's the proper fit. You can kind of see just right off the bat that this is a thicker O-ring and not quite as large diameter. So first we'll put our little ones on. Then we get our big one, and then just sits there. What I'll do is I'll get some grease, and then this just slides up into the cavity that this goes into and seals it. So I like just put a little bit of grease and everything slides together and doesn't pinch. Did that on the front and didn't have any problems. So, all right, let me get some grease and we'll get it on there. All right, so we got that on there. Just like the other solenoids that I showed, it goes on really quick. You can see in there, I just still got to put the metal clip on. I found it easiest on this one to do it from the bottom. I just get on my creeper, reach up behind there on the back side of the strut and snap it on. But she slid right on there. You just want to make sure nothing's pinched. And then connect your electrical connector and your air line, and then we'll go ahead and test it out. We're going to have to run into town first. We're going to pick up some solar panels for a project. So I'll give a chance to test it out and see. With this temporary O-ring I had in there, it would bleed off overnight, and some mornings if it's really cold it wouldn't even air up until later in the day. So we'll see. We should notice right away if this is going to fix our problems. So all right, let's get the wheel on there and pull this out of the shop. All right, we got the Lincoln. We're going to try to finish this up. We haven't driven it since we finished the timing, as well. Try to take advantage of the being in the shop and being dry to see if we can figure out what's going on with that leak in the air suspension. So I just turned it on, ran it. It built up pressure. Then I put it into, I guess we could call it the off-road height, which is when you put it in low range, four-wheel drive low range, it raises it an extra, I think they say 1.5 inches. So I raised it up, and I came in here and shut off the air suspension system using that switch that's inside that rear hatch. And then I shut the car off. So that will keep it from self-leveling. And I'm hoping, because it's pumped all the way up, that it'll be easier to see and troubleshoot. So I'll get some soapy water, spray bottle, and we'll start looking to see if we can figure out where it's leaking. All right, so I've been delayed. We're getting on the air suspension on the Lincoln just because a couple issues with the Volkswagen we're troubleshooting. With the brakes, I think we figured it out. Just waiting on hose, and getting lots of storms coming through. Just got done plowing this morning, or afternoon here before work. I'm just gonna spend an hour on the Lincoln, try to get it ready to troubleshoot a little bit more, but the Russian's been earning its keep. You can see it, stormy weather, and getting pretty good drifts. But I'm trying to stay on top of it, much more than a foot at a time. The Russian can't really keep up. So we got parts, garage is packed full. We got parts for the Excursion build, the Ranchero. So really itching to get this Lincoln done so we can start on that. And we're watching a car on an auction, so we might be doing picking up another vehicle for plans on another vehicle. So we'll see. But as you can see, this passenger rear tire or corner is the one that's deflated. This has been sitting for three days, I think now. Pumped it up, turned the switch off. You can see the front sitting up nice. So I'm gonna start it up, get the air suspension back up, pull that rear tire off, try to put some weight on it with the jack, and go from there. See if I'm gonna wiggle some solenoids, wiggle the air lines, get some soapy water, see what I can get done before I gotta go to work tonight. All right, let's get it running. All right, I didn't get a chance to record everything because I was in a hurry. Got to go to work. But what I did is I took soapy water, sprayed around the airline connection going to the solenoid, around the airbag, around the airlines, traced out the airlines. So what it is from the pump, it splits off into a Y, and then one line goes and splits into another Y and supplies the front air struts, and then another line comes back, the other line comes back along this passenger side frame rail on the outside of it, so it's easy to just look underneath your running board and you'll see it. Then about right here, it goes up on top of the frame rail and gets into another Y where the airline goes to each solenoid independently. Everything looked good, no sounds of leakage or air after I had it pumped up. So what I decided to do, since we know the issues on this side, I swapped it with the driver. What I did is swap solenoids with the driver's side to this side, and then driver's side rear to this side to the driver's side. And then I pumped it up. It's at the off-road height now. And I'm gonna let it sit overnight. I shut the air system off so it won't auto level. And we'll come back. If it's the solenoid, then the driver's side rear should be deflated and this side should be working good. If it's the airbag, then this side will be deflated, and we've eliminated the solenoid as being the issue. It's the best I can think of. If you guys got other ideas or suggestions on troubleshooting this, I soaked the airbag. I think I'd almost have to take the airbag off and submerge it, pressurize it with the air compressor, and then submerge it in a big bucket of water, see if air leaks out of it. One thing I did note is with the system pressurized, you can disconnect the airline fittings, the airline from the solenoid, and no air came out, which is kind of interesting because I had air leaking from that solenoid on the driver's side front when I wiggled the line. So I think that's the solenoid that failed. This one, pull the airline off, no air comes out. It's not even pressurized. Not until I pop the solenoid out does pressure deflate. It only deflated from this airbag. The other side disconnected the airline, still pressurized, disconnected the solenoid, dropped it, and it deflated. So they're working independent of each other. So hopefully this test works. I'll let you guys know. we'll come out here tomorrow morning and check it out. All right, I gotta go to work. All right, it's the next day. Kind of see that it's sitting cockeyed. This was our test of whether we thought it was the strut or the solenoid. You can see the side we were having trouble with, passenger rear, still inflated with the other solenoid valve. We go to the passenger's or the driver's side where we put the suspected solenoid valve in, and it's deflated. So we can assume that we have a faulty solenoid valve. So I'll go ahead and get one on order and see if we can get one in by tomorrow. All right, we finally got the part from for the air suspension on the Lincoln. We had to chase down UPS because they won't make it down our road right now. It's too muddy. So we located them up in another neighborhood, grabbed the part, and as you see, it's sitting on bump stops since it's been sitting here. So this is the part I ordered from O'Reilly's. I'm not too happy. It looks like a used part, or somebody might opened it. This is again O'Reilly R0 part number K2230. Now I've read that there's some quality control issues. People have experienced that, so I'm attributing that to the one that's on the car. But here we got it. It did not come with a replacement clip or a replacement O-ring. It does have these two. It looks like the ones we pulled out of the front of the car. I see, it all looks different. So I'll compare it to the one that we're replacing. It's in the driver's side now. So we'll get it jacked up and pull everything off, get the wheel out of there, and see what we can do. We got Jenna taking the wheel off. I'll go ahead and jack it up. It's up off the ground?
Yep.
Cool. All right, take it off. Is that all of them? All right, so Jenna's been spraying with some soapy water just to kind of loosen up some of that mud. As you can see, we got mud everywhere. Roads are muddy, dirt roads, gravel roads, so it's collecting everywhere. So what I use is just a 90-degree pick to pop the metal clip out. It usually falls, so don't worry. And then disconnect your electrical line, and then I use a little fork, like those plastic pin pullers. I'll show it to you. Actually, I need to get it. I didn't grab it. One of these. I use this to help pull that air line off. So we'll go ahead and disconnect the connector, pull the air line off, and then pop that clip off, and we should be pulling it out. All right, so we got the old one out, and you can see on this is what's concerning. This is the one that's leaking. It actually says R0 incorporated on it. Believe it's got a part number, maybe not. Something there. This looks a lot like the Ford Motorcraft one. I'm gonna refocus the camera. So this one is the one we got from O'Reilly's in an R0 package. This has no part number, no name, nothing. The only insignia has a minus sign and a plus sign. And that's it. So there's no way to tell, but it looks a lot like the Motorcraft ones we pulled out. If you notice, it's got the smaller piece here versus R-knot, the original R-knot, and this is the replacement. So this looks a lot like the replacement, or the ones, the old Motorcraft ones. So, I don't know. You can see the top's different too. The overall body is the same. We measure everything out, except this just extends up higher. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in and hope that it works. If it doesn't, we're going to O'Reilly's tomorrow night. And yeah, so I feel for everybody out there fighting these solenoids. The fact that Ford quit making them altogether is pretty frustrating. And no real standard design, so let's see if we can get this working. Really light thin layer of grease on the O-rings. This one stayed up inside. Didn't get a replacement, but it looks good, no damage. So we are gonna slide it on there and try to keep it from getting dirty. So I'm not forcing it, I'm just trying to make sure everything slides up there nice. Doesn't feel like the O-ring's gotten pinched or anything. Okay, then we'll turn it and lock it, and she's on there. So the next thing I do is I put that metal clip on. I do this by feel, so I'm kind of clumsy with my fingers. Doesn't quite fit up in there. We're moving right along. We got the new solenoid in there. Jenna's putting the wheel back on. And then we'll put her back down off the jack. I just lift it up underneath the hitch. We don't go underneath it, so it's not a big deal. Once she gets that wheel torque tightened up, we'll put it on the ground, start it up, and then we'll torque down the lug nuts while it's running, and hopefully the air compressor line airs up. So as long as it airs up, my plan is to put it into the off-road extended height mode, low range. Just move it back and forth here in the garage, take any binding up off the tires, and then we'll shut the air suspension off, turn off the car, let her sit overnight. And that'll be my test to see if this is working. It's been getting down to about 10-15 degrees at night, so it'll be cooler. The garage isn't heated overnight, so it's already dark. So hopefully we'll wake up in the morning, come down, and this thing will be level. Won't lose any air, and we'll be good to go. We'll pull this car out, pull in the black Tureg that's back there, and do our permanent fix on the vacuum booster, brake booster vacuum line. That's our plan tomorrow night. We got those parts in today too, so. All right, you can zip it on fast. Good job. And then once you get them all done, you just go around the circle one more time and hammer them on tight. You see the numbers? Yep. There you go. You're natural. All right, so it finished raising to normal driving height. So what I'm gonna do now is we'll jump in, put it in low range and get it up higher. Then we'll shut her off for the night. Big help, we got it in off-road height. We shut the air compressor off, then we shut the car off. Then we just did a quick measurement. This thing is no way exact, but it gives us an idea if one drops. Some of this could be due to tire pressure, so I didn't check tire pressure. If I calibrated, I would just double check the tire pressure, but right now we just want to see if any of the corners drop. So this would be the driver's side rear, passenger rear, driver's side front, passenger front. So tomorrow we'll come back in. If it's not obvious, we'll put a tape measure on it, see if she dropped it all. If she didn't, then I'd say we have a success. You can see our board is updated. We got a long list for the excursion, but I broke it down so Axe is what we're going to be working on next for the excursion. So we're going to be rebuilding them completely, new bearings, new seals, putting up some traction control devices, U-joints. We're going to tear them down, tear the paint off, repaint them, and upgrade the covers. And then once the axle's done, we move on to the suspension and the frame section on the front. So it'll be exciting. And we'll get on that Ranchero at the same time. So hopefully we can start crossing some stuff off of here. All right, we'll come back in the morning and see if our fix worked. If not, send that solenoid back. All right, it's the next morning. And it looks like the air suspension held. She's not sitting on bump stops. Haven't put a tape measure yet. But prior to replacing that solenoid, it would always leak and be down in one corner. You can see this one. This is the one we replaced it with. So let's do a quick tape measurement, see how far off of these numbers it is. All right, sorry for the wind. See if we can get this. So we thought we had this air suspension licked. Come out to drive it today and the pump won't kick on. Not at all. Tried different settings, and then I came over here and I noticed if I pulled the cover off and pulled the relay out a little bit, it would kick on, and then it would kick off and then kick on, and then eventually when we shut the car off, the doors open, key out, it would still pump, and so it would never shut off. So pretty sure it was the relay. Pulled the relay out. This is the one that, sorry, the sun's going down. Had some corrosion right at the base, but I didn't have a spare one. I was curious, so I took it apart, and it was pretty dirty. My son cleaned it. You kind of see inside the cap how all that was covered in it. And then we noticed this wire here. Looks like it broke its solder connection. So luckily, local AutoZone had one in stock. Not the brand I prefer, but for a relay, it should be good. So we're going to put this in and hopefully be back to normal. All right, let's see if this works. Well, that relay fixed our last issue with this air suspension. Got it working. That's going to be it. Hope this helps somebody. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.